Hello, and welcome to today's California State Library webinar hosted by InfoPeople. Today's webinar is entitled USA Learns, a free website to learn English and study to become a U.S. citizen. I'm now going to turn it over to our first presenter, Andrea Willis, Director of Internet and Media Services at the Sacramento County Office of Education.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us today for this one-hour webinar. I'm quite excited to have this opportunity to share some information with you about USA Learns, a free website for adults to learn English. And in the near future, it will also be the place where immigrants can come to study to become a U.S. citizen. My team of programmers and designers built USA Learns several years ago, and it continues to be a labor of love for us all. And it's my pleasure to help get the word out about this free and high-quality resource. During today's webinar, you will learn about the highly popular USA Learns website. We will check out the 3 existing ESL courses and the various activity types. You'll get a sneak peek at information about the upcoming U.S. citizenship course that we're building. We will also be joined by Katie Azevedo, who is the Digital Literacy Van Coordinator with the Butte County Library in Gridley, California. She will tell us a bit about how her library uses USA Learns to teach English to their patrons. We hope that our conversation today will spark some ideas on how you might use USA Learns with volunteers and tutors in your library, and how you might use the new citizenship course to help your patrons become naturalized citizens. So let's get started. Okay, so USA Learns there's 2 sides to USA Learns. There's a side for adult learners, which is located at usalearns.org, and there you see a screen grab of what that looks like. And the second side of USA Learns is for teachers and tutors, and it's located at usalearns.org/teacher. And you see the second screen grab, that's what the teacher side looks like. And when I say teacher, I mean teachers or tutors or volunteers or anyone who is helping anyone learn English. So who created USA Learns? So the site was originally built in 2008 by my team at the Sacramento County Office of Education, and my department is called Internet and Media Services. It was originally funded by the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Vocational and Adult Education. They've since changed their name, and now they're called OCTAE. And there was also some additional funding provided by Homeland Security. And back in that era, the California Department of Education's Adult Education Office also pitched in some funds so that we could build USA Learns. And we're very excited to have this opportunity recently to build the new U.S. citizenship course, which is being funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services and the California State Library. The New Americans Campaign has also given us some funding for a nice lesson on how to prevent immigration fraud, and the Sacramento County Office of Education is also kicking in some money. So USA Learns is really quite popular. It's been around a while, and it's been used by a lot of people. So since November 2008, when the site originally launched, we've had more than 1.5 billion page views. That's a lot. We've had more than 9.5 million users come to our site to learn English free, and our site has been accessed by every country in the world. When folks come to our site, they're there quite a while, and they do quite a lot. For example, they're there on the average they'll visit about 58 pages per visit and stay for about 25 minutes. And each day we have about 11,000 people arriving to our server to visit USA Learns. And I should have mentioned, if anyone has questions, I believe you can enter them into the little chat area of your page. And the nice folks who are helping me with this will unoccasionally say, hey, Andrea, we have a question. Okay, so adult learners really like USA Learns. And there are several reasons why, and this is one of them. They like the high-quality video. Our video programs, we were able to convert an existing video series We were able to chop up the videos into lots and lots of little pieces and integrate them into our web-based learning system. People like the videos. They're interesting and funny, and they include situations and stories that are relevant to English as a second language learners and adult basic education adults. We also have nice graphics and professional audio in the course. One of the things I told my design team when we started on this project was that I had a rule, and that is no cheesy clip art, please. So you'll notice only real, high-quality stock images have been used, and I have professional narrators on staff who have recorded thousands and thousands of audio files so that learners can practice hearing and speaking English. All right, so let me pause for a minute, and I'm going to ask Susan, do we have any questions I should be addressing quite yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so far so good. Don't be shy, everybody. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the first English course. As the name kind of suggests, it's for beginners. It's actually low beginning to high beginning ESL. And the first English course is made up of 20 video-based units that include survival English language skills. There are 192 lessons, which include reading and vocabulary and grammar and life skills, spelling, et cetera, with a total of 639 different activities in the first English course. Okay, the second English course is intermediate level. It's actually low intermediate to high intermediate ESL. We have 20 video-based units around topics such as job and life skill lessons. There are 141 lessons that include vocabulary and grammar, comprehension checks, writing, tests, etc., with a total of 848 activities. So there's really quite a lot of learning that one can do once you log in. Okay, the third course is called Practice English and Reading. Oh boy, I'm jamming through this. So if anybody thought you might grab some lunch before this is done, you just might have that chance. Okay, third course, Practice English and Reading, intermediate level, and includes real news stories and activities, can build vocabulary, speaking, and comprehension skills. So I'll share with you on this one, what we did was we got the rights to use some real news stories from our local news station, and we took those stories and we had adult ESL teachers simplify the text of those news stories and to sort of scaffold learners so they could start off by reading the simple version. And then they were able to also read the original version. And we created learning activities, multiple choice questions, listening, speaking activities, that kind of thing. So it's based on real news stories, which people seem to really like. Okay, so get ready. This is the really exciting part. So we have a new course that we're building. It's a new U.S. citizenship course. We haven't finalized the name of it yet, so for the moment, I'm calling it U.S. Citizenship. Okay, so as a part of this course, applicants will be able to learn about the benefits and requirements of becoming a U.S. citizen. They will learn where to get good help, learn how to avoid immigration fraud, practice for the N400 interview, learn basic U.S. history and civics, practice English reading and writing. Let me talk a little more about a few of these items. So as we're developing these materials, we are creating various types of multimedia elements. One of the things we're especially excited about is making some wonderful animations that will actually be turned into videos that teach people about the benefits and requirements of becoming a citizen. And we've been working with the United States Office of Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, And they have been absolutely wonderful in reviewing our materials to make sure that they're accurate and relevant and appropriate and all of that. And they have been absolutely wonderful, so we're very appreciative for their help to look at our materials and make sure we're on the right track, and I believe that we are. And the section on where to get good help, we've been working with the New Americans Campaign folks, with their immigration attorneys, and they have been wonderful also in looking at our content to make sure that we're accurately reporting the news. And you know, we just want to be very mindful and careful that whatever information we put in our course is the right and accurate message to be telling folks, you know, as they're preparing to become U.S. citizens. We're making some animations on how to avoid immigration fraud, as I mentioned. One of the things I think that will make our course really, really special is it's really about practicing for the N400 interview. And if you were to get online and search for, you know, prepare for your naturalization interview, you would find, you know, there are a lot of websites out there that do that. And you're definitely going to find, you'll find the, you know, the 100 flashcards to learn civics, and that's awesome. But what I don't think you're going to find a whole lot of, and kind of what makes our new course special, is the N400 interview practice. And if you've ever looked at the N400 application, you'll see it's about 20 pages long, and it uses a lot of really complicated English. So imagine you've come to the United States, maybe your English is not stellar, you're still learning English, and it asks a lot of really, really complicated questions using some really weird vocabulary words that you wouldn't really hear in normal life. So we're teaching all those vocabulary words to folks. We're giving them opportunities to practice listening, to practice speaking using those words. So anyway, that's one of my favorite parts of the new course, I'll tell you. And then the basic U.S. history and civics, we are, you know, you've probably seen the 100 questions that folks have to learn. And that's great, and we're definitely teaching to those. But we're also, one of the really cool things we're doing with that one is we are creating we're creating a small animation for each of the, I think it's like 15 lessons in that unit. And so we're kind of weaving together those 100 questions that people need to be prepared to answer. We're weaving them together into brief animations that use kind of the appropriate ESL levels, and we're including just enough glue to paint a picture of the real basics of U.S. history without getting too complicated about it and not using too many difficult words. We're just basically teaching them enough so they can pass the test. And then also there is a section on practice English reading and writing. We have some really nice templates in USA Learns where people can, you know, we have a reading template where they can read an excerpt, and then we can ask them some multiple choice questions to make sure they really understood what they read. And then we have a nice, it's called dictation template, where we can have it where people hear a sentence, they click a button and they hear the sentence, and then they have to type it using our dictation tool. And if they get it wrong, the letters that are, or the letters in their sentence that are wrong, highlight as red, and they have the opportunity to fix it and get feedback. So, okay, so let me go on. Applicants will also.
Hey, Andrea.
Yeah.
This is Susan. Before you go on, I know on the last slide, I remember you telling me about some of the questions for the interview that may be difficult for ESL, and I think one of them wasn't one of the questions, have you ever prostituted or something like that?
Yes, there are some questions like that. Have you ever been a prostitute, or have you ever procured a prostitute? So yeah, there's definitely some questions on there that are kind of on the sensitive side. And in talking with our friends over at USCIS, they've given us lots of very helpful insights on some of those. That question in particular, sometimes the applicants will get very angry during the interview. You know, they'll say, "What, you're looking at my papers and you see something there that makes you think I've been a prostitute or that I've hired a prostitute?" And it doesn't say anything like that in their papers, but people will get quite upset with that kind of question. And so one of the things that we are covering in our course, you know, kind of in the introduction to that section, we're saying something like, please do not take any of these questions personally. You know, they are just kind of standard questions that are asked, so don't get upset. You know, the N400 also has questions like, have you ever committed genocide? Have you ever murdered someone? Have you ever provided weapons to a minor? Have you ever raped someone? I mean, there's a lot of really sensitive questions in there. And I have a feeling some folks who were contemplating building a course might hesitate to include those questions in their course. But our thinking was, hey, if applicants are going to be asked those questions, they need to understand the words, they need to understand what they're being asked and how to answer, and you know, so that they can answer appropriately. Is that helpful, Susan?
That's awesome.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, are there any other questions that have come in that I should be covering?
Not yet.
Yeah, you guys are so quiet. Come on, ask me a question. I was all ready for questions.
Actually,
okay.
This is Mrs. Mary. There were some questions that came in. Susan, are you not able to see them?
No, I'm not seeing them. I wonder why.
That's weird. Well, what were they?
Okay, yeah, no problem. I can go ahead and read those off. Okay, so we had a question. Can you do the third level and not the first and second?
Yeah, excellent question. Yep, you can jump around. You can do any level you want.
Okay, and then there was someone who said that he tried to sign up for an account as a teacher at around 10 a.m. this morning to try and see how the system works and hasn't gotten confirmation yet. So the question is, how long does it take to get confirmation?
Ah, good question. You know, it doesn't usually take very long, but if he wants to drop me an email, I will investigate if the confirmation doesn't materialize soon. And my email is listed on the last slide here. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. And then someone says, this is terrific. When do you think this will be ready for other libraries to use?
Oh, good question. So I will share with you, so the 3 English courses are live now. And the citizenship course is the one that my team is working very hard on. So for the moment, I'm saying this fall, with exact details to be determined. It's funny that the courses ended up being a lot bigger than we thought it was going to be, but our expert consultants kept having all these great ideas of what should be in it, and they were all such great ideas we really couldn't, we didn't want to not include all this great stuff that should be in it. So it is bigger than we thought, so we're plugging away, but we will definitely keep folks posted as we get closer to having a nice solid launch date for you guys. Thank you for the question.
And another one, is the content copyright protected? If the library wants to use part of the content, can we do that?
I guess it depends on what you mean by use part of the content. You know, you're welcome to have people come onto the website and use this website as much as you want. I think the videos that we discourage folks from, taking the videos and doing something else with them, but you're welcome to use any part of this in context of the course, as you wish.
Okay. And how does this program compare to the Citizenship Toolkit that the government provides?
I'm not positive which one you were talking about, but I know that if you're talking about the box, are you talking about the box of flashcards and handouts and workbooks and things like that? I can say that we have worked closely with USCIS, and they're the folks who made that toolkit, I believe. And so we've been sure to include kind of the best of items in this course. And so I would bet that I'm guessing that our course probably has the grand majority of whatever's in the toolkit plus more. And just the fact that it's an online interactive site, I think there's going to be just more multi-sensory learning opportunities in this. So hopefully that was what you were asking about.
Okay, and then there was just another question about when the citizenship module will roll out. So people are very excited about that.
Yes, as am I. So my canned answer for the moment is this fall. And as we get closer to an exact date, I will most definitely keep everyone posted, and I'm excited when I can send the email out that says, ta-da, it's ready.
So are there any plans to make the app free for learners and teachers? It is currently 99 cents.
Yeah, so the app, we don't really have plans to make it free. It's something we built to see, if we would get a lot of takers on it, and we honestly don't get that many takers on the app. It's kind of just hanging out there now. We don't really have a lot of plans to make more apps or really to do any enhancements to that one. It's sort of an extra opportunity for folks to practice. It's really the vocabulary focus on the app. And for anyone who has not seen the app, I will share with you, as I said, it's vocabulary focused. There are a few little activities on there that are not on the website, but the website is definitely where you're going to have the more robust experience. So I suggest go to the website. The app is fine and everything, but if you want free, go to the site for sure. And I will also share with you that the app and the website are not connected in any way. So if you do some activities on the app, it will not show up as a completed activity status on the website.
Okay, and will there be another webinar walking us through the citizenship course when it is ready to launch?
I sure hope so. I would love to do that.
This is Susan. This is Susan, and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
We want to do a webinar once it's available, but
we shall see.
Yeah, and we'll I'll do a better job of announcing it before the webinar, so everybody will have information in advance. And I'd just like to make a really quick comment. Once we started this project, we contacted USCIS in Washington, D.C., and they became really, really excited. And then the New Americans campaign got involved and gave Andrea more funding, and that's the reason why this has really expanded and is taking a little bit longer to complete, but the end result is going to be fabulous.
It is.
And Mary, I found my question box, but it's really tiny, so I'll try and watch, but if you could help me, that would be great.
Yeah, no problem. I have them right here. Okay, so we have a couple more questions. Are we allowed to link to this site on our library website?
Please do. Link to us. We would love that.
Yes, please. One of our goals is that right now the state of Florida has more users than California, and we really want California to surpass Florida. So please advertise. Yes. And it's very common to see on library immigration resource pages.
Yes, so absolutely. Please do link to us. That would be lovely.
Okay, and someone's asking, would it be okay to use this as the backbone of a citizenship class in our public library?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned on one of my early on slides, USA Learns has two sides to it. One is the learner side, and the other is the teacher side or tutor side. And I think that it would be wonderful, a wonderful tool for libraries to go in and create an account on the teacher side, and they could use that to monitor their students' progress, and it's really easy to use. And if we're able to at some point, I would love to do another webinar on how to use the teacher side so that you can help your learners learn English and become a citizen.
Okay, and those are all the questions for now, but keep them coming.
Lovely. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for the questions, everybody, and yeah, feel free to send more. Okay, so let's see here. We will continue on. I don't think I talked about this slide. So one thing I was talking about what the new citizenship course will offer, and this is page 2 of that list. So applicants will learn tips for the naturalization interview. They'll learn everything from arrive 15 minutes early. We're going to also teach them some small talk because you may not know this, but at the beginning of the interview, the officer will ask some questions like, how are you today? Did you find parking? How did you get here? And really from the minute the applicant meets the officer, that is the beginning of the test to see if they speak English. If they can't handle that small talk at the beginning, a lot of people will flunk the test right at that point. Let's see, our applicants will also learn to prepare for the oath ceremony. I don't know if you've ever read the oath ceremony, but boy, it uses a lot of really hard words, and so we teach what abjure and all those difficult words mean so they understand what they're committing to. And then also they will learn what to do after the ceremony. Okay, let's see. Moving on. Okay, so this is what, if I go to usalearns.org, which is the student side, this is what I see. And so if this is my first time coming to the site, I would click on the Start Now button, and that's how I would register. And if I've been here, if this is my second, third, or 100th time, whatever, I would click the little blue Sign In button here. There we go. And that's how I would sign in. So I'm showing you this just to give you a little sampling of kind of what the flow looks like when you're in as a student. And so here I am. Let's say I want to start studying the second English course where my big red arrow is pointing. So I would click on the Start This Class link. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a little sequence of activities to give you a flavor of what it's like inside. And so in the ideal world, I would play this video for you, but I have learned my lesson about trying to show videos during a webinar, and the lesson is don't do it. So let's just all imagine that we're watching this video. It's this really sweet clip about this waiter guy named Alejandro. He's standing there on the left in his little tan apron, and he's very excited because he just completed a computer course at his adult school, and he's kind of trying to get up the nerve to go and talk to his boss to get a promotion. He wants to be the assistant manager at the restaurant. So his friends are encouraging him and giving him all kinds of great advice. So let's imagine we watch the video. Okay, here we go. Next. Okay, so here we have a little comprehension check, and the question is, Alejandro wants the job of waiter at the restaurant. Is that true or false? And it's false because he wants to be the assistant manager. And on a lot of these, we'll have feedback that helps the learner actually learn the correct answer if they got it wrong. Okay, so this is a listening activity. So we click the listen button and we hear a voice say, I like to take care of customers. And so the task at hand here is to decide who said that. Was it the guy on the left or guy on the right? This here is a reading activity. And so we read the information on the left about finding a job, and then we answer a question on the right. We have a nice life skills activity, reading a job advertisement in the newspaper. So I would click the listen button here. Let's see, click the listen, and I think it says, what is this, or something like that. And I have 3 answer choices. It's a magazine, it's a help wanted ad, or it's a work schedule. So I would click a help wanted ad. One thing people really like on the site is the speaking activities. So with this, I would click the listen button, and I would hear the professionally recorded voice that says, to print, you need to click here. And then I would hit the speak button, and I would say it. Then I would click playback, and I would hear the native English speaker voice followed by my voice, and my job is to figure out how close did I get and keep doing it until I feel like I got it dialed. Okay, so that's really the end of my little presentation to give you an overview of USA Learns and tell you about the new course that's coming soon. And I did just want to tell you, I feel really, really lucky to be a part of this project and to have this wonderful opportunity to build this new U.S. citizenship course. It's really one of those once-in-a-lifetime projects for me. because truly, how often do we get the chance to build something that will positively affect the lives of millions of people to come and for generations to come? And for me, this is that project. So thank you for listening to my little part of it. And now we're going to hear from Katie Azevedo, Digital Literacy Van Coordinator at Butte County Library. And I'm so excited to hear about all the great things they're doing at their library. So Katie,
thank you very much, Andrea. All right, well, thank you, and hello, everybody. Hello? Are we ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So here we go. Thank you again. And Andrea is going to be in control of our slides, so it'll be me asking her, next slide, please. Thank you. So we have a grant that was offered to Butte County Library, and these are our sponsors. The Community Development Block Grant gave us the bulk of the money for hopefully a 3-year project. We contacted the Housing Authority of Butte County, where we have a migrant farm labor camp where the migrant workers all live in a specific area. And so we asked if we could provide this digital literacy opportunity to them, and they said yes. Our program is called E-Aprende. E is for electronic, and Café Digital. The idea was to get people to come out and learn digital literacy. Next slide, please. Thank you. Gridley is about 100 miles north of Sacramento. It's a small town of about 6,000 people. It's very rural. The majority of the people here are native Spanish speakers. Most of them have not had a formal educational experience. Some have had up to 4th or 5th grade, but the majority of the people that we are seeing may have a 1st or 2nd grade formal education. I found this photograph of the labor camp. The building in the bottom right is still here at the camp. The tents are now small homes, and the trees are still there, and it looks very much the same. So this is where I am bringing USA Learns. Next slide, please. We don't have a library on the camp, but this is a little classroom, and every day I bring computers in and bring in all our curriculum so that we can share this opportunity with the residents of this rural migrant worker camp. Next slide. And that's how we get them there. So people know when the van pulls in that there will be an electronic resource. I use, there's no broadband in this area, so I come in with Verizon jetpacks, actually, providing hotspots to hook the computers on to get them online, basically. Next slide. The project is funded to offer digital literacy. When I arrived at the Housing Authority and spoke to the management and the residents of the camp, I asked, what would you like to learn? Many of them had never used a computer. Their children have experience from school. Many of them have computers in their homes. Comcast provides a low-income rate, and so the families will have Comcast for their television and a computer. The children know what to do, but the parents don't tend to get as involved. They all wanted to learn English, and they all wanted to practice for citizenship. So I go to La Escuelita 3 or 4 days a week to provide these services. English was definitely the #1 thing they wanted to learn. USA Learns is perfect for this group of people. Next slide, please. So the first time people show up, I went door to door, I passed out flyers, and I invited the residents of the camp to come and participate. First, just like you would do, assessing their computer skills and how comfortable they are with that keyboard was absolutely essential. USA Learns accounts require an email. so far, out of the 60 participants, one has had an email address. The policy that I created was I will create a Gmail account for them using my library cell phone as their phone number, and it's their first and last names and the city they live in. So if it were me, it would be Katie Azevedo, period, Gridley at gmail.com. It's something they can remember easily, and I do keep a list of all of their email accounts, which I would recommend if that's possible for you. I put their information on index cards, but invariably they lose it. Subsequently, they share their passwords with me too. So they learn how to sign in. And my first lesson is instructing them on that first page and what they can expect. Next slide, please. Thank you. So starting at the top left, which is where we start when we read, you'll see this is their ESL #1 lesson, first English class, Introduction and Vocabulary. I sit with each individual or small group and explain all of this. I do tend to do it in Spanish, but speaking slowly, most of them would understand me if I spoke English. I pay special attention to the lesson menu in the top right because sometimes my assessment of their confidence in English has not been effective. It has not been correct. So I teach them the lesson menu so that they can go in and independently choose for themselves. It's a great empowerment tool. I also explain each of those units, the introduction and what that means, the classroom directions and what that means. So far, I have seen everyone is really excited about the learning goals, and they all look at that. Most of them write it down in their notebooks, so they know what they're working on with each lesson. You can see in this, #3 is a video. They know what to expect. Going to classroom directions on #4, you can see the microphone that says, say it. You saw that a little earlier in a slide. The participants love hearing their own voices speaking English. They giggle, they repeat, they say the phrase or word multiple times and really assess how well they think someone else will understand them. Each of these sections creates a conversation. In the classroom directions under Learn New Words, they will ask me questions. The very first lesson teaches them the commands. This is to watch, to say, to speak. And they'll ask me about that in English and talk to me about, is this what that means? Is this contextually correct? Knowing the definitions gives them that empowerment again to be able to use that vocabulary. And then each of these has a separate lesson that goes along appropriately with each of those. One of the things I really encourage you to look at when you do create your account as a student, which I did, so I knew how to instruct the participants, each of these courses allows a level of sophistication. Some of the participants seem to feel more confident with their listening and reading, so I encourage them to practice more speaking. Some of them don't read Spanish, let alone English, and I am only working with Spanish speakers. They don't understand that. So there's a great lesson on the alphabet in the very beginning. It's perfect. They've practiced the alphabet with their children, but now they are able to actually see and practice reading the alphabet while they're hearing the letters go through. But again, it's an empowerment opportunity where they can say, okay, I understand this. These learning goals have been met. They can independently go to the lesson menu and look for that next level of sophistication. Again, each of these stories that Andrea was telling you about create a conversation in the classroom. And it's never a conversation with two people because everyone participating will hear you talking and join in. So you'll get small group conversations about each of the levels. There's a story in level 2 about what to do if a fire happens. And they love that one. They listen to it as a group. Even when it's too difficult, they listen and they talk about what do you do if a fire happened. It really prepares them for a lot of things. And next slide, please. So obviously the empowerment, independent learning is a very key point for me. I think that USA Learns really captures what an adult learner wants when they're learning. It's not embarrassing. They can confidently go to this page and know that they're getting the best instruction and the guidance. If they have questions, it's easy to ask and to have them addressed within that main menu. You know, there's so many choices for English language practice online, and I think that USA Learns really covers all the different skills that people want when they're learning a new language. And again, it's in a very interesting way. The stories are humorous, they create conversation, they definitely keep the attention of the learner. Andrea's slide that suggested people stay focused for 25 minutes made me smile, because when the people come into Y Aprende Café Digital, they stay 2 hours. And they're very happy and very entertained and very focused because of how well written the program is. Next slide. There you have it. My opinion, that says it all. I would encourage you to, I agree with Andrea, I should have thought about putting the teacher page on. Part of the reason USA works is because of that teacher page. I go in and look at the success of the participant, and I can see where after any activity they've had. My goal for all of them is above 80% accuracy on anything they do. And if they're below that, I go and have them talk to them about it. We redo the lesson, and then we'll talk about what changed, what got better. As the instructor, I feel it gives me the opportunity to guarantee the participant is succeeding. If they're not successful, they're not going to come back. So I like the teacher piece a lot. Again, I think that it's a good reminder of where people are struggling, and the job that I'm providing is to help them learn that English skill. So that's my question, my spiel in a nutshell. I would recommend you all create your own accounts and really look at that, and then contact me with questions or ideas, and I will look forward to that. Thank you.
Katie, this is Andrea. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed hearing about what you guys do at your library. You know, I rarely get to actually see human users. I get to see, you know, data analytics, that kind of thing. Graphs and charts, but it's really wonderful to hear what the real life humans are doing with the site. So thank you for that great presentation.
You're welcome.
All right, so I think that it was the end of our part of it.
This is Susan. I just have one comment. Katie and Andrew will both be presenting a program at CLA. So if you're going to be at CLA, you'll have the opportunity to speak with them. And then, are there any more questions?
Yeah, we've had a few more questions come in. I'll read those off to you. Yeah. Okay, someone asks, I saw there are advertisements on your website. Are we going to get lots of unwanted advertising emails once we register an account?
No. I promise you, you will get none of that junk from us. Just a little background on why there are those ads. So for the longest time, you know, this site was originally built with some grant money, and then the grant money ended, and then we just didn't have the heart to unplug it because it was such a great resource. And that's what happens on a lot of projects that are funded by a grant. You know, money ends, site gets unplugged, that's it. And we did not want to do that. So we waited several years before I finally convinced my boss that, hey, you know, I'm paying for programmers to support this. We have tech support people who have to be paid. So we were able to place those kind of subtle ads. Hopefully they're not too intrusive. We tried to keep them out of the way of the learning areas, and so that is what those little ads is what allows me to pay for the hosting of the site, pay for tech support, and a little bit of programmer support if something comes up. So, but no, we won't. You will not get any junk emails from us. I promise.
And someone wants to know, what is the total cost to add to our library?
It's free.
Which is another reason why it works so effectively.
Right.
Right, exactly.
People,
and
I know.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I neglected to mention was I have a population of migrant workers who come in and go out depending on the crop and the field work that they're doing. Many of them have used this at home with their children. And one of the introductions that I've made is your child can help you sign in with these things, and then you will understand better what your child is doing on a computer. And they have worked at home, and I know that because I can look at my teacher page and I can see what they've done.
Nice. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's free. And I could be wrong, but I think some libraries actually pay for some kind of ESL monthly or annual subscription or something. I don't really know what that is, but I know I have heard talk of some libraries thinking about maybe using USA Learns instead of paying that annual subscription.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another question similar to the previous one. How secure is your website? We have to provide emails when registering an account. How vulnerable is our email account?
You know, I believe it is very secure. I have multiple technical people who work on the project. We have network administrators, server administrators. The programming, we've definitely put a lot of thought into security. So, I mean, every website is vulnerable in some way, even the Bank of America, right? But I believe it's secure.
And I'd like to add that I do keep a list of the emails and hope that at some point I'll be able to teach the participant how to use their email to communicate with family in other places and things like that. So I have personally looked at things, nothing comes through. I have never seen any kind of spam at all or any kind of junk that has come into any of the accounts. I think it's very secure, and it's a good concern. It's a good question.
Yeah, no, it is a good question. I mean, the only kinds of emails we will, if someone loses the password, they can get an email from us. On occasion, we might send out an email that says, hey, we haven't seen you in a while, come back and learn English with USA Learns, but that even is a very rare thing that we do once in a while. But yeah, I would say it's secure, and we don't send hardly any junk. I mean, we don't send any junk. We don't hardly send any emails in general.
Yeah.
Okay. In the future, are you planning to develop the mock-up interview module for the citizenship interview?
So I'm not sure what that question means exactly, but I will share with you, as a part of the new course, we have a lot of opportunities for their learners to practice answering questions, the types of questions that would be asked during the interview. So I think the answer is yes, if I understood the question correctly.
Okay, and this is for Katie. Katie, thank you so much. Do you go through each lesson step by step as a group, or do people progress independently and you roam the room?
I'm glad someone asked that question. It's very independent, but I do roam the room. We do not do a group lesson because everyone's level and everyone's interest in their lesson is different. But I go around and they know I just look over their shoulders and I will just start a conversation and say, oh, what is that little story about? Or what is this person doing now? Just to practice the vocabulary and the conversation piece.
Great.
Go ahead.
Does USA Learns offer monthly user statistics?
I can access Google Analytics to pull any kind of data one ever might possibly want. So yes.
Okay.
So Andrea, if you sign up as a teacher, is there a way for you to get the statistics on your users?
If you have a teacher account and if you've invited learners to be in your class, then you can see a variety of statistics about what each learner has been doing. Katie, do you want to talk to that at all? Like, what can you see on the teacher side as far as your students go?
The truth is, I've never looked for statistical analysis as a group. I am more concerned about the individual.
Oh, okay, got it.
Individually, in a snapshot, in one page, I can look at them by individual and see exactly where they are and what they're doing and the percentage of success.
Nice.
But that's all.
Okay, no, that's great. And I think you can also see like the last time a learner logged in. So if one of your learners says, you know, gosh, I'm really struggling. I'm not learning this stuff, and you can go, oh, well, looks like last time you logged in was 2 years ago, or whatever.
Right.
You can see that kind of information too.
And another question: our library ESL class dissolved due to participants' fear of ICE. Have your participants expressed fear and not attended your classes?
Yes.
Well, so okay. You want to talk to that one? No, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. It's definitely. There have been a few roundups in our area at different farms, and they have been very nervous about it. I have only, out of some 60 participants, only 2 have been men, and that's part of why. It's also cultural, but they're concerned about what goes on. The camp itself tends to be pretty secure. It's sort of multiple families, cousins, living close together, and I think they feel a little more secure in that number. And I have brought our USCIS representative to the camp twice to talk to the people and to reassure them. And then I do go door to door, and I passed out the little red cards, Know Your Rights, to help them understand that we're the library and we're here to help them. And it's worked so far. We definitely are practicing citizenship things as well as English, but they go hand in hand.
Right. I will add too, on the USA Learn site, we're always really careful. I mean, we don't want to collect too much information about people. You know, we're getting their email address and that's about it. You know, their name. We don't want to know where they are.
Hey, Andrea, this is Susan. On the practicing for the questions for the interview, will that be set up for the listen, speak, and then you can hear it again?
We have lots of speaking activities. We have some where we have someone on my staff who is, you know, acting like they're the USCIS officer, right? So it'll be like the video might say something like, you know, what is your last name? And then the person practices answering the question. Or there might be, there's also some where they have to repeat, but we have a lot of those open-ended questions because when they go to the interview, they're really going to have to answer with their personal information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so those are going to be really cool. Any other questions?
There's no more questions right now. We had a comment, excellent webinar. Please let us know when the program goes live in the fall, and thank you.
Yay, thank you for that nice comment. We will definitely keep you posted. I do have one thing I would like to share with folks, which is that, you know, so this is kind of my first time talking with library people on a, you know, rather large scale. And I have always thought that USA Learns would be the perfect fit for libraries, especially if you use the teacher side and you have your tutors or your volunteers use the teacher side to kind of monitor people's progress through learning English or, you know, practicing to become a citizen. And if you wanted to, you're welcome to email me. I would really love to hear kind of ideas you guys might have on how you could use this in your library. And I think that this last slide here has our contact information. How convenient. So I would love to hear from you. If you have ideas on how you might use this in your setting, I would love to hear from you.
And also on that note, Andrea and I are looking at national grants right now to do some work on the site, but we're also interested in high priorities for what type of learning modules or courses could be developed in the future that would best help the ESL library tutors and instructors.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And I'm also kind of keeping my eyes open for love ideas about what kind of trainings we might possibly offer to library staff, volunteers, related to helping people learn English or helping them prepare to become a U.S. citizen. So any ideas you have on what kind of trainings you think might be helpful, drop me a note. I'd love to hear from you.
So thank you again, and we'll see you all at our next webinar.